coming straight from MBA students of Halt. In this podcast, you will get insight from the present and future entrepreneurs so that loving our work becomes the norm, not the mundane. We have Keegan from Canada, Burella from Nigeria, and Anthony from Ghana. The best and probably the funniest part of having all of us together is that we all have major magnetic personalities. Let's dive to them. So, Keegan has almost 24 years of experience in workplace. Here, who will enlighten us with some benefits of humor at work?
Thanks for asking, Andy. It's been so much fun to work with you, as you're always so funny. But some of the positivities from work are that I've found in my experience is that it increases morale. Some reason I think that it increases morale is that if you're funny, you become more approachable, meaning that and then people will like you. People tend to like you more because people don't generally want to approach someone if you've got a frown or a grin on your face all the time. Then once you gain people's, if you like someone, they tend to smile, then you're going to want to trust the person, right? And if you trust somebody, you're going to have some influence over them because you're going to be like, oh, I like this person. So they're going to be like, well, I'm going to actually want to listen to what this person says, and maybe I'll just go along with it. So influence is a very important thing when it comes to workplace, especially in a leadership role. And kind of closing the topic of that with positivity and happiness, we've got increases productivity and teamwork. So that's about all I think I have on that for now. But
Thank you, Keegan. Let's talk to Virella. Virella, do you want to share some views about humor at work with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Nancy. So, just picking up from what Keegan has said, basically, I just think humor at work creates like a less tense environment, and then it makes the work more enjoyable, and it also makes the environment more approachable, and everyone wants. They find it easy coming to work, and they want to work together. So, as long as you know where to draw the line and know the limits, I think humor at work is something that everyone and every organization should imbibe.
Thank you, Virella. Now, Anthony, it's your turn.
Hello, guys. This is Anthony, and I'm excited to talk about humor. In my opinion, humor is very, very important. We think that being able to tell a joke or to make a funny statement is all that humor is about, and it's just intended to, make places comfortable. But I hope that through this podcast, we'll be able to understand how humor can actually have a strategic and instrumental effect on an organization and actually make an organization more efficient and improve the well-being of everyone involved in the organization as well. It is somewhat a science that we have to begin to come to terms with and learn how to use properly. So I'm really excited for this discussion today, guys.
Thank you, Anthony. Since we have a lawyer in a room, Virella, let's discuss how do we draw the line between humor and inappropriateness. Virella, over to you.
Thank you, Niazi. So, starting with, we're going to talk about the different types of humor. And then the first thing first is knowing that we have different types of humor and how we can draw the lines between these different types of humor. First, we have the self-depreciating humor, which is like putting yourself down, that kind of throwing that kind of jokes at yourself, and the absurd humor, the witty humor, which is in the sense of like sarcasm, and if you say this in a mean way, it could hurt someone else's feelings. Then we have wordplay, which comes like puns. We also have, now when we're talking about different types of humor and where to draw the line, we will talk about it in the gender perspective and cultural perspective as well. So talking about gender, when a man is throwing a jokes, he should know the kind of jokes to throw with his voice and the kind of jokes he can throw when he's talking to a female counterpart. So saying something that he would say with his voice and then saying it to a lady can be off guard, and can be something that would be seen as offensive if he's saying it to a lady. So there's this fact about gender that if a male is humorous, is given more regard, is seen as more functional and less destructive than a female who is humorous. So going to the cultural perspective of humor, we need to know that the Western culture, Eastern culture, and different countries, just saying different countries and how they receive humor. So if you're talking about the Westerners, they are more positive with humor, and it comes as a natural thing with them. And if talking about people from China, the Chinese, Indian, and some other countries, you have to be very careful because these people see humor as a lack of seriousness, and it's more restrictive around this side. So there are different cultures and then different kind of humor that you should throw around. So if like an American person or a Canadian is dealing with like a Chinese person, he should he should be able to know what he should be able to know what to say around that person and how to deal with such a person.
Wow, I did not know there are so many different perspectives. Definitely understanding what is right and wrong. Thank you, Virela. Now we have Anthony on the table, sharing the science behind humor.
Thank you for your question, Niyati. It's a privilege to talk about science, the science behind humor, and its impact in the workplace today. As Wura mentioned, there are actually different humor styles. And as we begin to understand these humor styles, we begin to learn that there's actually a science behind implementing humor in the workplace in order to help organizations reach their goals effectively. Um, these styles are self-enhancing humor, affiliative humor, aggressive humor, and self-defeating humor. It is important to understand these styles because they help us implement what is termed as the organizational humor model. Now, this model requires that when implementing humor in the workplace, businesses follow specific steps in order to make sure this humor is done in the proper way. These steps are threefold, right? The first one, you select your organizational outcome. So, for example, a manager of a sales team wants to increase sales by encouraging his sales employees. Number two, you select a humor style. So you select from the humor styles that I have previously mentioned, i.e., aggressive, self defeating, coping, or affiliative. And then finally, you would try and understand whether the intended outcome was realized based on what the initiator did and how the audience reacted to this. Now, let me give you an example of this. If you are a manager of a sales team, as I have mentioned, and you're trying to make your sales personnel more effective, you don't use self defeating or aggressive humor towards them. Because if you look at part two of the model I have spoken about, you realize that your humor style will be incongruous to your audience's culture or gender. So you wouldn't implement something like that. Rather, you will pick a humor style like affiliative behavior, which is more personal. You know, you take a personal approach and you take a positive humor approach. So this would make your audience respond better. An important part of it is also feedback in terms of that step three, getting your audience's reaction towards it. I would like to round it off by saying that the science of humor is very, very, very important because it is proven that it affects three levels of chemicals associated with stress, which are plasma, cortisol, epinephrine, and dopamine. Another interesting scientific fact is that in hearty laughter, there is an increase of pulse rate, blood pressure, and respiration. And it essentially gives you the workout of 3 minutes of hard rowing. So, yeah, basically, humor does actually make you a more healthy individual and reduces your stress. Because if you think about it, companies lose, not think about it, it's actually a fact. Companies lose a lot of money to workers that are stressed out. You have high turnovers, you have absenteeism, and in fact, it was found in 1981 in that in American businesses they were losing up to 75 billion a year and $750 per worker on issues related to stress. So us knowing that humor helps reduce stress, I think is a huge asset for businesses, and we need to give this more attention.
Oh, Anthony, that was a bit complicated for me. I hope you people got it. By the way, thanks for letting us know all the interesting facts about science behind humor at work.